Welcome once again. M.M Out here, over there, everywhere, all over the place, and in this case, right here. Part 2, our very scintillating conversation with the Apostle Leroy Skelberry, who ran in the last 2 general elections in St. Peter, and God's willing, shall be running again next time. Welcome again, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We were talking about the constituency of St. Peter.
Yes, sir.
And you were making a very valid point at the end of part 1 about that conversation you had with a particular person where they actually realized, well, they actually, because the Barbados Party gives the impression that the votes in St. Peter belongs to them. So if votes get cut, it's going to get cut from them. Continue what you were saying.
Yes, and this was a very high-ranking person within the Barbados Labour Party campaign. All right, I was told by a number of individuals that they were angry with me because they were hoping that, in terms of the politics in St. Peter, that I was told by individuals from both the Democratic Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party, they were upset with me because I was not available to be one of their candidates. Okay, but my point is, I don't think I can be a part of the problem and bring a solution. In order to bring a solution, you must be a part of the solution. So, and he said to me, you know, I told him, I told him, this guy has a large family in St. Peter, and he has the element of the church community, so we've got to be careful. So you said correctly that there were many more Barbados Labour Party meetings in St. Peter.
Yes.
Okay, than any other time in the history. I never saw it, honestly. And of course, you know, being the lone candidate, there was a lot of finances that they had behind them, obviously.
Well, yes, they had a war chest.
The problem is in St. Peter is that our people are not as politically mature as they need to be. I think this is very, very critical. And St. Peter has to get to the place where our people finally, whether you're a BLP supporter or a Democratic Labour Party supporter, you have to look across St. Peter and see what's going on. Okay? Our parish isn't moving forward. Our constituency is not moving forward.
Yes, because if you look at it, look at the condition of St. Peter, and St. Peter was represented by the Prime Minister.
That's the main point. And this is like 15 of the most advantageous, prosperous years, I think, between 1994 to 2007. Remember, we had the Cricket World Cup. Yeah. The Auditor General report was at over $390 million. And St.
Peter did not benefit one iota from that sort of thing.
I'm saying, you know, Spikestone on a whole is dying slowly almost every day.
It's supposed to be such a heritage town, recognized town.
Supposed to be a heritage town.
Its alias is Little Bristol.
You know, so I'm just saying that we need, especially, and I make this plug, especially within our young people, because they would not have known that St. Peter in the initial state was not a BLP stronghold. It was a very fair parish. It is no longer a fair constituency. And I think something needs to be done. Politics in Barbados must be fair, and it's no longer that.
But you know, the present Prime Minister being a master of deception, he has a good talent for that, would never like the people of St. Peter to actually know, the youngsters, to know the history of polling in St. Peter.
I think it was...
That's why M.M Out There is here to expose that sort of thing.
It's really been wiped from the history books since. Sybil Leacock is a pillar in St. Peter. You know, her primary school, you know, has helped so many individuals and young men and young women develop their skills going on to secondary school. She's done much for St. Peter. I think one of the things that we have a problem in St. Peter with is we're looking for the person who looks better to do the job versus the person who can actually get the job done.
I tend not to agree with you in that case, because it said the person who looks better. There's no way that Colin Jordan looked the best in the last election.
Well, I said that in terms of party, rather
in terms of party, because he looked neither physically or mentally or whatever you want to call it, right? And I say that from the heart. Yeah.
So, I've looked, and St. Peter is dear to me. I have some individuals who have issues with myself. Some people have an issue with the way I dress, but, I do things on a daily basis. I have meetings that I attend, so, I function on a certain level. But at the end of the day, as you would know, I've been through the 26 communities that makes up St. Peter. The worst that I have been in is 6 months. The worst, which is a very, very potent Barbados Labour Party area.
Yeah, it's 6 months. I live right next to the 6 months, so I can actually tell you that they support the Barbados Labour Party to the hill. In fact, I have a very good friend, and he is actually one of the key people as far as campaigning and things. A young man like me, but young. He's one of the key, and we have, he watches my show, right? And he sends in his comments, and we have, whenever he sees me, I see him every week, we have a little banter, right? We have a little banter. He gives something he doesn't like to take, he tends to get angry, but he knows that we're on that level, and we can be, right?
It's important that we have, constructive dialogue, and Barbados has gotten to the point which I think is very deadly right now, because even with this government, you can't criticize any of the things that they're doing because people are ready to eat you. But there's a place where constructive criticism is important. It's necessary.
Because politics is not a blood sport.
Right.
But I just remember something. I want my good friend to know that this is the second Father's Day that has gone around. And the annual Father's Day cricket match, which just attracts such attention in 6 months.
Yeah.
This is the second year under the watch of Colin Jordan that this match has not come off. And I think for a place like 6 months that supports Mr. Jordan to such a high level, right? He should have made it his priority that match comes off. In fact, I have to ask you this the next time. If you've actually seen Colin Jordan, I know you probably saw him somewhere else. If you've actually seen him in 6 months since the election, I don't even think they had a parade.
Yeah, I know that.
So complacent that they are.
Staple,
yeah.
I know it's been a Father's Day staple in 6 months.
Yes.
And this is one of the things I keep saying, as I go around and I'm talking to individuals. You want to be bringing people together. The world is trying to come together, and there's still fragments that are trying to keep things separate. But I think the time has come for individuals in St. Peter to really take stock of what's happening with this government now. At the end of this term, it will be a matter of 30 years.
And
in 30 years, from 1994, 15 years under the Barbados Labour Party, 10 years under the Democratic Labour Party, God knows how many years under this new administration, we've got to take stock.
Yeah, it's about time. It's about time, right? And as I said before in the last segment, I noted that normally, the North would normally have at least one person in that top 10 of the top students.
Yes.
And government would normally have at least 2 or 3 schools in that top 10, right? But I don't think there are actually any government schools in that thing. I think they're all private.
Well,
I'm subject to correction.
Yeah. Well, the primary school principals were also in the media recently talking about.
Yeah, I saw them this week.
The results were given to the media long before they received them, and they were not happy with that.
But that says something.
It does say something.
But then again, why do you want to receive these results when you're not even in the top 10?
Well,
I mean, before the media.
That's again besides what is actually happening.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that
I said that with levity.
Yeah, the government primary schools for a long period now have been failing at this common entrance exam. This is now proof that there's a switch, there's a change, that some level of educational protocols are being met at these private schools that are no longer being met at the government secondary schools. Something is going on, and I think it's time to actually do an assessment and find out why our government secondary schools, even though we're getting children who are scoring in the 80s and in the 90s, but it's not at the level where you're in the top 10. Something is wrong.
I'll tell you what, the Barbados Labour Party is famous and what they've done in the past concerning this sort of thing. There was a young man who actually, I think he had the top score in this same examination.
Right.
A young guy, a Muslim guy. And what they did, they utilized his talent by putting him on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That was in the last election.
The last election. So that's their contribution to this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a young man, despite how brilliant he's supposed to be, who doesn't know heads nor tails about politics. I don't care how bright he is.
From the Muslim community.
From the Muslim community at that.
Yes.
And they should have never allowed it. Being that they're supposed to be this so righteous. And put him on the platform for their own personal use. That was a disgrace. An abomination.
Yeah. And from the fact is that St. Peter, to my knowledge, boasts two of the, and I remember when Mr. Brooms was at Alexander, even though there were some issues there, we're looking at a school like Cogent Party, which is one of the
my alma mater.
Okay, and then Alexander, that has a very long history being here in St. Peter. I think the time has come for for me, there's a need of change within the school systems. I've actually advocated for individuals, when I spoke to the Minister of Education, for there to be an institution between the secondary school.
You're talking about the present Minister of Education or?
The former, right?
Jones.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I think, and I'm not putting no punches, I think that Mr. Jones has been probably the worst Minister of Education in the history of Barbadian politics. That's my opinion anyhow, what yours?
Well, we talked, and I had mentioned even during my time on the secondary school board there at Darrell Jordan, one of the things I think we need to do is to, revitalize our educational system. I think children that are showing signs even in class 1 that they're brilliant enough, we need a secondary institution between the secondary schools and the primary schools that we can move these children on.
Sort of like a buffer?
Yes. I remember when I was a little boy, there was a show called Doogie Howser MD. Doogie Howser MD was
an American show,
yes,
a little brilliant doctor.
Boy that became a doctor by age 15. He was a medical doctor, licensed and certified. Went through primary school and high school in 9 weeks. Went through college in a year. And so that was a shock to say, you know what, you don't want to be keeping our children back. You want to move them forward. I think our educational system is holding our kids back.
Yeah, so you believe that generally they need some sort of overhaul?
Yes, sir, of our school system.
This thing,
that
right?
Still old English model is crippling our system here. And I'm not saying that we need to go to an American model. I'm just saying that we need to go to a model in Barbados that benefits Barbados. And our educational system was so high that, as I said, my first trip to Tortola BVI, the superintendent of prisons there
was a Barbadian.
Yeah. And he came over to greet us, and that was a shock to me. That's the level that our educational system. And I met an individual that was very close to Mr. Albert Barrow, or Father of Independence as we call him. He said to me, Mr. Barrow never wanted free education. What he wanted was freedom through education.
And with that, we have to go. Time is up. M.M Out here, over there, everywhere, all over the place, saying
Yes,
that's it for now. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Right?
Thank you for having me again, Mr. Morris.
Yeah, let's make our assistant.